Hello all, how's it going everybody? I am Rezi Orenji, your lazy orange yarn spinning, musical talking cat boy. And I'm back with yet another music talk stream. How's it going everybody? How was your week? I apologize for the sort of bump up in schedule of the stream to Monday instead of the usual Sunday. Oh geez, I'm getting a warning here. I hope y'all hope it's coming through for y'all. Um but yeah, I was actually at a wedding over the weekend. I think I said that in the community post, but had a lot of fun. It was down in the Philadelphia area by the waterworks. It was very lovely. A lot of fun was had there. A lot of merriment. A lot of really good food. Oh my god, I still have some leftover cookies that I'm gonna dig into after the end of this stream. But it was very fun. And I'm glad to be back. Um, I've got a video that's in the works. You might have seen there. Hopefully, I will have it out by Halloween this week. Um, it's coming along really quick. It's my review of the two concerts that I saw of King Gizzard, this August at Forest Hill Stadium. And there's some live action segments that I think are really fun that you guys are going to enjoy. If you like what I've had so far, this is only pushing my experimentation and content even further. But I continue to ramble. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. As usual, feel free to participate in chat. But we've got another lovely guest today. This time, actually, this is the first guest that I got. Sort of browsing Blue Sky. There's been a lot of VTubers. After the great recent migration over from Twitter, just sort of finding each other and adding each other. It's really cool. Kind of feels like the early days of VTuber Twitter, But this upcoming guest, I sort of found doing that, and she's pretty interesting. She's like a variety streamer, also does a lot of music stuff too. But her name is Kissa Canavello. She's a cat wizard VTuber. Would you all please welcome Kissa?
Hello?
Hey. Kissa, how's it going?
Good. How's it going for you?
I am doing fine. Thank you so much for agreeing to the stream.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course. Always happy to talk with new music-loving VTubers and such. And to that end, usually I like to start off the stream sort of break the ice by asking, usually it is that, people like music, casually in their everyday occurrences, but it definitely takes a certain passion to sort of dedicate oneself to, involving music in their life in some capacity, whether it is, some sort of obsession or fandom or, outright being a performer. So I guess to start off, I want to know what sparked your particular passion for music.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what. I know I've always loved music since I was little.
Mm-hmm.
And, okay, the first instrument I ever played was the piano, and a huge part of why is because of Billy Joel, actually.
Oh, nice.
I've always loved his music, even since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Because of him, I thought it would be so cool to learn how to play the piano.
Billy Joel's a great artist, man. My favorite album by him, I think, Nylon Curtain. It's a super well put together 80s pop album, in my opinion. I don't know. I'm not too big on, a lot of Billy Joel's music, but I definitely know, a lot of the classics from the 70s, from the early 80s. He's definitely a fantastic pianist and lyricist. I totally understand where you're coming from there.
Yeah, I've always found him to be a phenomenal, singer-songwriter.
Absolutely. I mean, definitely in the vein of like Britain's own Elton John and such.
Well, yeah, and speaking of Elton John, he's another reason why I play the piano, actually.
Oh hell yeah! Gotta love Sir
Love him and
Elton.
his music too, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Uh, I I don't know. I how to say, when I sort of grew up with my inspiration for me, I mean, I'm a drummer by trade, so I guess what really inspired me to take that up was, well, predominantly rock, but I eventually sort of learned to incorporate more jazz influence and such myself. Like a lot of the best rock drummers and I guess musicians in general, I've come to find, have a bit of jazz technique in their playing. I mean, Billy Joel, for instance, his own playing.
Yeah, totally.
uh, have you ever done any like jazz anything like in school?
I have, actually, because I majored in music in college, and I
Oh,
was
hell yeah.
essentially in the jazz program.
Actually, well, not same because I don't think my school had a jazz program per se, but I was definitely a music performance major, and I did a bunch of like jazz and ensemble stuff too. Like it's great. Like it's like two wholly different experiences too. Like playing drums for like a jazz improv ensemble versus playing drums for a big band. It's like I don't know. I really love the feeling of getting, well, on the one hand, getting to like be like another contributor and contribute to the mix and the mood of a piece in the vein of improv, but on the other hand, also doing uh like kind of conducting the band, being the shadow conductor of the big band, as the drummer, as it were. Ah, what else? So yeah, I mean, other than Billy Joel, Elton John, like who are some of your favorite artists, musicians, genres?
Well, I like most genres, to be honest. I mean, I honestly don't listen to much country,
Oh yeah,
really, or
no, that's
rap,
fair.
with few exceptions.
Yeah, no, I
Like,
do.
okay, as far
Yeah,
as rap goes, the only real exception for me that I can think of at the moment. Have you heard of Watsky?
I don't think so. Let me write him down. I feel like the name might be familiar, but I hear like a billion different, rappers out nowadays, and I'm terribly sorry. Here we go. Watsky, you say?
Yeah.
What's he like?
I don't know, it just seems like kind of more introspective rap lyrics
Ah, yeah,
for
I
one of
dig
his
that.
songs.
Yeah, I definitely I vibe with that. I think I'm wise enough in my years now to know sort of the rap music that I like. I'm not as ignorant to the genre anymore as I used to be, but I definitely, I definitely have gaps in my knowledge of rap. But I'm very all about the sort of uh I guess conscious rap sort of, but also like very sample heavy, very alternative sort of influence. Like, a lot of what like Tribe Called Quest was doing, for instance. Them, De La Soul, even the Beastie Boys, like fucking Paul's Boutique, Check Your Head, Sabotage. Those albums are fantastic. Like if you've ever heard of those, like fucking I don't know. Shout out to the
Well, yeah, I've heard of those bands. Yeah, definitely.
mhm.
Yeah, and I know that not everybody who listens to music, gets the same thing out of it or listens for the same
Right.
things. I mean, some people, it's the energy of the music,
Mhm.
how it makes them feel. Sometimes it's lyrics. I don't know. For me, I've always been really, I don't know, like into the lyrics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, no, that's definitely I definitely feel that. I feel like I should personally, as a drummer, I'm most moved first and foremost, I guess, by rhythm and, intricacy in the music, but also I do really there is something to be said for a very well written, story told song, like I'm no stranger to saying to thinking Bob Dylan is a master of sort of musical storytelling. I mean, I don't personally listen to much Bob Dylan in my off time because his music isn't that engaging to my ear, but I will give him his due.
Well,
uh,
yeah, I'm kind of the same way with Bob Dylan. Yeah, I
yeah.
understand.
Well, I'm in a band with somebody who's like really super into him. Like he's got his own sort of like harmonica strap, and he plays acoustic guitar really well. So of course he can do his own Dylan. he's he's I can appreciate Dylan. It's just he's got such an extensive discography and such an expected sort of tone of voice that I don't know. I feel like it's hard to approach. Ah, though
Yeah,
I.
as for other yeah,
So go
as for
ahead.
other people, other musician bands that I like, I love Paramore,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah, and I like Genesis. Also,
Mm,
Phil Collins' stuff by himself.
that's cool.
Um,
I've been meaning to get into more Genesis. Actually, I have a friend and sometimes collaborator that I talk with off stream. His name is Duke, and he's been in my ear about his own re-listens of the Genesis discography recently. I know a few tunes. I know a few early albums, mostly stuff that they did with Peter Gabriel, but Collins' era is definitely it has its spot in music history. I will definitely Phil Collins' solo career. I will definitely bump Easy Lover in my off time. Oh my gosh,
yeah, and
so good.
yeah, also, um, I really like Sarah Bareilles.
Oh,
Well, she's
nice.
another person who plays piano.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like she's a good singer-songwriter too. And I
Mm.
believe she was inspired by Billy Joel.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've heard of her, but I can't say I'm too familiar with her music. I don't know. I'm not too. I don't listen to too many. I guess modern singer songwriters beyond like I guess the 80s or 90s.
Yeah, I feel like I probably honestly know of and listen to more that are actually from probably around 70s through
Oh yeah.
90s-ish
Yeah.
than more current ones.
I mean, I feel like it's harder now to be like a solo artist and like get sort of. I feel like it's more economic to band together as a unit, unless. I don't know. There are some genres where it can still happen like that. If you're like a bedroom pop musician and you're like good at the production, good at like all these different instruments, like Steve Lacy or Mac DeMarco type. But like, I don't know. It's hard for you don't really consider any of those people like singer songwriters and like breaking through in that sort of way. Like it's hard to be just like a man with a guitar these days. I mean, unless you're Ed Sheeran, then everybody just sort of likes your orange scruffy ass.
Yeah, it does seem like it's harder now than it would have been like back then.
Yeah. But then again, Taylor Swift was once a girl with a guitar, and now look
Uh-huh.
where she is. So, what do I
Oh
know?
yeah. Well, yeah, and well, I'll admit it. She's one, I guess, of the more current ones that, yes, I'll be honest, I love her music and,
Yeah.
think she's cool and glad she's doing well.
Yeah, I mean, I will be honest, like, I want to take an exploration into Taylor Swift's discography at some point. Like maybe not like a discography deep dive on my channel or whatever, but like I'd love to take that plunge individually. It's just the cloud of discussion around her on the internet is such a fucking minefield that I'd rather not touch that as long as I can, you know? Swifties are not to be messed with. Let's see. So, you know, you do variety streaming. You know, I see. You know, I looked into your channel. I saw you've done a bunch of game streams. I mean, to be honest, I only stalked your YouTube channel. Is that where you upload your Twitch VODs and stuff? Do you stream on Twitch primarily?
I do stream on Twitch.
Okay.
And I upload my VODs on my channel and also my song covers.
And I guess to that end, I was wondering, you play a lot of video games. Do you have a particular favorite video game OST, perchance?
Well, I probably have at least a couple I can give you easily. One of them, Final Fantasy XIV. That's full of music that I really, really like. That's one of the main reasons I like Final Fantasy XIV so much.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure it's chock full of, like, remixes from the entire series, right?
Yeah, I think so, even if I wouldn't necessarily recognize them because, well, outside of Kingdom Hearts, which is, like, seriously half Final Fantasy,
Oh, yeah,
I've only just played 14, even though I was hoping to play other Final Fantasy games at some point.
Yeah. Hi,
But,
Frank Stilog.
yeah.
Welcome to the stream. How's it going? Yeah, that's Final Fantasy to me. I've only ever played 7, but fucking hell of a game. If you ever get the opportunity to play it on like emulator or whatever, it still holds up in my opinion. The whole Materia RPG system is still fucking solid in 2024. But other than that, I don't know. I've never really had the stomach for the massive sort of adventures that those games usually entail. I tried to get into Final Fantasy X, but just completely bounced off of me. I have heard some fantastic things about 14, though. I'm worried about, getting addicted to an MMORPG, is all.
Yeah, that can definitely happen with that one.
Yeah, I see a lot of, like, content creators I like, some call me Johnny. He posts a lot of, like, Final Fantasy 14 content, and it's cool, like, what creators do and the sort of communities that sprout up over there, over that game, but I don't know. I do have an easily addictive personality sometimes, so I feel like it's best to just sort of stay away from that. I mean, that and, I don't know. I used to play, what was it, Apex Legends back in the day, and, was on the battle pass for that for some time, but I don't know. I don't do that anymore. Well, I never bought any. Did I? I don't know. It's hard to recall now whether or not I bought tokens, or maybe that's just my guilty conscience masking my own fault, but I don't know. I feel like, how to say, I try not to get into that sort of, I guess, predatory gaming loop anymore. I try to I try to, I don't know, I'm more about, like, indie titles these days. I'm more of, like, I guess, give me a good roguelike and I'm set,
Yeah, however, there are some games like that, well, are honestly pretty addictive too. Have you ever played Balatro?
No, I have heard of it, though. I've heard good things.
Yeah, it's good, but yes, very much
Easily
kind of,
addictive.
addictive once you start playing it.
Yeah. No, oh my god, there's I've streamed it a few times on my channel. There's this one fan-made Pokemon Pokemon roguelike called Pokerogue. It's in browser that it's fantastic. I've been addicted to it for months now, and it's really bad when I play it off stream because I usually sink hours of of progress into it at a time. Just trying to get advance on the various levels of the game, and when I should be doing my own content off stream, it's a very bad habit. But it's really fantastic. It's got like all the Pokemon. It's got like music from mostly like the mystery dungeon games, but also like Gen 5 and stuff. So it's like super nostalgic in that way. It really feels like taking it back to the Gen 5 days, which were kind of my personal favorite Pokemon games. Definitely some of the best Pokemon OSTs in my opinion.
Well, yeah, I've heard of Pokerogue. I've not tried it though. I'm most familiar with like the first 2 gens of Pokemon games.
Now those are fun too. I actually was like kind of an OG Pokemon kid. I think my first video game console was a Game Boy Color, and I had Pokemon Crystal on it. The memories.
Well, yeah, I remember like the first Pokemon game I played. I think it was like Red.
Oh, nice.
That I was using. Well, yeah, my parents had a Game Boy. Well, I did get my own Game Boy Color too, and then yes, I had, Gold, Silver, and Crystal.
Oh, nice. What was it? My mom also, actually, for that same Christmas I had the Game Boy Color, she got me this like Pikachu N64. Like, it's dope. Like, I think I still have it somewhere, but it's like this blue N64 with like a Pikachu pattern on the front, and it's like feet are the power button and reset buttons. A lot of video game music seems to be inspired by progressive rock. Oh yeah, definitely. Actually,
Yeah.
Final Fantasy, it's his predominant composer for most of the games, Nobuo Uematsu, was heavily inspired by prog rock. Emerson, Lake and Palmer, the album Tarkus. Go and listen to its title track, and you will hear basically the inspiration for every battle theme I think ever composed in the Final Fantasy series. Good evening. Hello, Rob. How's it going? Welcome to the stream. And I love that about a lot of like early video game composers, like Nobuo Uematsu, Koji Kondo, even like of all the early Nintendo games. Like, they were very much in tune with not just progressive rock and rock music as it was back then, but a lot of jazz fusion too. Like, I think I remember seeing something that, Koji Kondo was influenced by, stuff like T-Square and maybe even Cassiopeia, that whole sort of scene in 80s Japan of like the really clean, pristine, but also technically complex music. I really love that stuff. And it's cool to see, the influence in, baked into the DNA of like what gaming's become now.
Yeah, and it seems like, well, since the game I'm familiar with, Final Fantasy wise, is 14.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like, okay, the composer for that, Masahiro Sakurai, it just seems like he's very good, very talented, and it seems like, yes, there's definite musical influences I can hear, because there are some tracks for dungeons that seem very jazz influenced.
Oh, yeah.
There are others that seem more like rock, or even almost, I don't know, more techno, or even more heavy rock, or verging almost but not quite into metal in places, kind of all over the place and interesting.
It's always good when you've got like a soundtrack that dabbles in all these different sorts of genres and mixed, even mixes them up here and there. That's I don't know if that's the automatic mark of a good composer, but a good composer can bounce it really well. I don't know though. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and something I've noticed. Well,
Hey, Jukebox
guess
Cowboy,
kinda-
how's it going?
I guess kind of going from there. Well, speaking of Masahiro Sakurai, okay, he's the reason I just had to get an automaton.
Oh yeah.
Because like there are these couple of funny videos out there on YouTube of him, kind of jokingly trying to play a couple of his different instrumental bits of music from Final Fantasy XIV on
Oh yeah.
automatons. And I just love that. Okay, I have to have one of these things. I just have to.
They are cute instruments, aren't they?
Yeah,
I
they
I have seen, quite a few meme videos in my day of, people trying to play songs and whatnot on automatons. I think I've only actually seen slash played one with one once. I think one of my friends had that back in the day, but never actually had one myself. How easy is it to handle?
Well, I don't know. It's like kind of challenging to kind of get a feel for where the notes are because you just have this long, pad on the front of the stem of the musical note and like no lines, no visual clues about where notes are.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of just have to seriously play by ear.
Yeah, just sort of sliding your fingers up and down the neck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I guess it's kind of like a sort of synthesizer thingamabob at the end of the day.
And I guess aside
like a
from
touchpad
those,
synth.
Yeah, a touchpad. Because it has a touchpad on the front of the stem.
Yeah. Just track down a copy of the Godzilla versus the Smog Monster soundtrack. That's cool, That soundtrack, speaking of jazz fusion, like, oh my god, those Godzilla soundtracks from the early 70s are seriously funky. Like, I don't know how much Godzilla fan you are, Kissa, but I love the Godzilla movies, and especially it's cool to see how like the soundtracks for those evolved over the years from like so it's not Ishiro Honda who composed the original Godzilla. Ifukube, I think it was the original composer. He did like the marches and stuff. And then you had like the funky, tripped out soundtracks in the 60s and 70s. The Godzilla movies are so cool. So, I definitely love their soundtracks, though. I would recommend them.
Well, yeah, I actually, maybe surprisingly to anybody here, I've not seen any Godzilla movies at all. Yes, I know about Godzilla. I've just not seen the movies.
I highly recommend, if you're into that sort of kaiju, I guess, man in a suit, tokusatsu even, like sort of action, it scratches that itch more than enough. Yeah, I don't know. Speaking of like game OSTs that have been happening recently, there's been, I don't know how much of a Sonic fan you are, but I've been really digging like the recent remixes that have come out for the Shadow Generations. Like going back and hearing like I don't know, like new versions of stuff like Rail Canyon, like Kingdom Valley. It tickles my old mid 2000s Sonic nostalgia right in the heart.
Well, yeah, I like Sonic, and I've played Sonic games, probably like really old ones. Like, okay, I'm talking as in Sega Genesis Sonic games.
Yeah.
I've also played a bit of like Generations, like the first one, not the one that just came out.
Right. No,
I've heard great things though about it.
Oh yeah, no, it's I haven't played it for myself. I want to get it eventually, but from what I've seen, like it's really cool how well they've done, like, well, not just the original game's remaster justice, but like also all the new bits with Shadow, how they've really just sort of I don't know, really done all of his original lore justice and then some. It really vindicates my fandom for sticking around so long. I was like the second generation of Sonic fan, the one who was introduced via like Sonic Adventure DX, Sonic Heroes, Sonic Adventure 2 Battle for the GameCube. And then from there, I got into like Shadow. I got like I think I was like one of the OG owners of like Shadow the Hedgehog, like 2005 for the GameCube. And I don't know. I guess it was like youthful innocence that willed me into thinking that, especially Heroes and Shadow, like some of their jankier bits were okay game design. But then, Sonic 06 came and dropped the bomb and it was just like. It was hard to be a Sonic fan, visibly, for years after that.
Yeah, another game that I felt had an awesome OST, Persona 5.
Oh, yeah. I have not played any of the Persona games personally, but I am familiar, definitely, at least with the mixes in Smash Bros. And God knows, Alpha Rad, he's obsessed with the Persona games, right? And I know he uses its music all the time and like background BGM, like on the end cards and stuff. I know he uses that stuff, but I don't know. I've never actually played any games. It feels like a massive time sink. I've heard like it takes like hundreds of hours to 100% like those games,
Well, yeah, 5 is the only one I've played. I've still not quite finished it, but
Yeah.
yes, a lot of time has been sunk into it, definitely.
It seems like a fun RPG. Like I don't know. I need to get more acquainted, I guess, with JRPGs. I haven't played too many outside of like, Pokemon and Final Fantasy, as I've mentioned, but a lot of great titles out there. I'm eyeing those like new Dragon Quest remasters. I might sink some money into those when they come out. Does Resi listen to the Rezillos? I don't know what I don't think I know what the Rezillos are. Sounds like a dope band name though. Persona is definitely a cool soundtrack though. I'm very like I said, I'm very much familiar with the Smash Bros remixes, which kind of an abrupt pivot, but like holy shit, like Smash Bros always does a phenomenal job with making sure its video game remixes do those original games justice.
Yeah, they do actually. I agree with you on that.
I say I can't wait for the next Smash Bros games, but realistically I do want Mr. Sakurai to have a nice long rest after the Smash Ultimate cycle. But holy shit, Smash Ultimate, what a game. I haven't played it in a while. Let's see here. Oh, so I guess to pivot back to your automaton usage, I was wondering if do you see it as like a serious instrument at all, or just something you use for like meme videos? How much content have you have you made with it? Do you plan to make more automaton stuff?
I've not made a whole lot of content with it just yet. I mean, kind of a more memey sort of a thing where I try to do. Okay, I was goofing off and going, "Hey, I'm trying to do the Doctor Who theme with my Kirby automaton." Kind of not seriously. And then another thing where I did a stream where I was seriously just trying to improvise.
Oh my god! What if automaton karaoke?
Jazz or something? Yeah.
Automaton karaoke would bang so hard.
Yeah, I did a short stream, like an hour, I think, of just trying to do improvisational jazz with my automaton.
Hey, that's I can relate to that. I actually did
hmm
like harmonica streams way back in the day, trying to learn how to blow stuff on that. That was a lot of fun. I don't know if I ever
hmm
seriously committed to the harmonica though. I definitely know more about how to play it though. It's
Well, yeah, I have a harmonica, but I don't really know how to play it yet.
it's just all about mastering the sucking and the blowing. Sorry, don't
hmm
mean to use awkward terms, but it is like it's all about knowing what notes you can get on the draw and what you can get on the blow.
Well, yeah, and it plays different notes depending on whether you're blowing into it or sucking air through
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
too.
Yeah, I mean, and especially for me, like I didn't have like a chromatic harmonica or like as something that could easily switch like scales or anything like that. I only had like a set of diatonic harmonicas. I still have that set somewhere. It's just like I feel like a few of those harmonicas busted when I eventually used them too hard. I feel like that happens especially with like cheaper ones, but whatever.
Yeah, but as far as the automaton goes, I mean, I can understand why a lot of people probably see it as a funny haha joke and meme sort of an instrument. I can see it because it's very unusual and silly.
Dude, I
Even
want to
though,
see I want to see the
Mhm.
first automaton virtuoso, you know?
Well, yeah.
Like
However, um, I found this channel when I was like after seeing Sakurai be all memey about playing the automatons,
mhm.
and has had to look into that more. I fell into a definite rabbit hole, like trying to find automaton covers of songs on YouTube, and I found someone known as I think the real Sully G, who has his own
Oh yeah.
channel. He's totally dedicated to automaton covers, including of
Mm.
memes.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I've what other there's there I feel like I've seen another channel like that I really liked, but I don't know. It's fun to see whenever people try to use like an instrument like that to do a vocal cover, instrumental, or a cappella even, when it's all
hmm
automatones, putting the music together. It's a lot of fun.
Well, yeah, and I kind of think that's what he does, the real Sully G, and I've been
Yeah.
impressed because, like, and amused too, because with a lot of them, where they have iconic music videos that go with them, like "Take on Me," for example,
Oh
he
yeah.
really tried,
Like he
like,
he
he did a great job
rotoscopes
recreating it,
he rotoscopes the automatones.
or at least had some kind of visual effects going on.
That's fun.
Yeah, and that's one of those songs that I've always loved. That's always brought me great joy.
Mhm.
Is a part of why I
Absolutely.
love 80s music.
Yeah, I was
I've
watching.
always loved that music video too.
Oh yeah, I was watching actually the other day Polyphonic. They put out a video recently about like the early days of MTV, and there was an entire section sort of like on how they put that video together and how actually, the video's production was so extensive that they had to push the release of the single back in order so that the video was ready for it. And even then, the video came out first, to build hype for the single. I can only imagine, how that must have looked. Well, not that movie, but just like the video in general to people in the 80s. Like, oh my god. Even today, it's still sort of mind blowing. Zillows are a legendary Scottish band who famously mix punk glam and. Interesting. I'll have to look into them. I'll write them down on my list.
Well, yeah, I think I will too, because I haven't heard of them before either. But that sounds good. I always love to hear about new bands and musicians.
Yeah, no, I'm always happy to come across something that I never have. I like to pride myself on somebody who has some sort of an encyclopedic understanding of at least the broad contours of rock music history, but whenever I encounter like a band that I've never even stumbled upon from like the 60s or 70s or 80s, I'm like, "Ooh, hey, that's cool." It's like finding a lucky penny, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Uh what was Pink Ramones meets the Shangri-Las at a junk shop. Oh, that sounds nice. Kind of reminds
Mm-hmm.
me of that description kind of reminds me, I guess, of the Murlocs. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Murlocs. They're kind of related to King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. I'm throwing a lot of names at you right now.
Mm-hmm.
For
Yeah, it's
context,
okay.
I
Okay, I've
so,
heard of King Gizzard because I watch this group of Canadian comedians called Loading Ready Run,
oh yeah,
and one of their members is a big King Gizzard fan.
oh hell yeah. Yeah, no, I love King Gizzard. You know, I was saying at the top of the stream, you know, I've actually got a review in the works. I went to 2 of their concerts back in August, and they were fantastic. I'm gonna be putting out a video soon where I review them, and I actually shot a bit of live footage where I cosplayed my VTuber avatar and went around, you know, asking people questions. It was a fun time.
Yeah, it does sound fun.
Doug, good work on your large video essay projects on YouTube. Been a really good listen to my work commutes the last week. Thank you, Mayday Valentine. I appreciate the support. You know, I'm really glad that you guys are liking, you know, especially the glam video deep dive recently. I hope it leads to more, maybe more frequent, planned content in the future to come. I'm gonna try to get better with, I guess, staggering out what I do. You know, obviously there's deep dives, which I love to do, but you know, I also want to give you guys more stuff, like hopefully this live concert review. What else? You know, discography and rankings. I want to do, like I said, the King Crimson discography review by the end of the year. And yeah, I don't know. Thank you guys for the continued support. King Gizzard knows the meaning of fun. Oh, absolutely. Do you know much? Have you listened to much King Gizzard, Kissa?
I've not listened to much of their music.
Oh yeah,
Just I started listening to a bit of it just out of curiosity because
that's fair.
watching people who love them and talk
Yeah,
about their
yeah,
albums frequently. Yeah.
that's fair. I mean, can't wait to see more of the glam videos coming out. Probably good. Oh, nice. I it's cool to be an inspiration to somebody. You know, I definitely recommend King Gizzard, checking them out. I mean, I recommend most Australian modern psychedelic rock music bands, but you know, it's with King Gizzard, I feel it's special. I don't know, really become like what the Grateful Dead were to my parents. My parents used to be Deadheads and like always followed them on the road back in like the late 80s, early 90s. And I guess sort of that some of that filtered down to me and how I've really embraced, I guess, fandom, especially for like King Gizzard, but in other bands too. It's like, I don't know, I like following a band that's on the rise as it feels they're like trying to gain some sort of traction. You know, it feels like you're really a part of their journey as opposed to, you know, going to see, you know, the same legacy act in like a fucking $200 stadium seat, you know? Second that. Oh god, yeah, hard to agree. Growing up in a deadhead family, I see so much correlation between the king. Yeah. I mean, it's more than just cosmetic at this point. I mean, they're releasing free bootlegs all the time. They're, you know, putting out they're allowing fans to bootleg their merch. You know, they constantly tour across the United States announcing all these you know, wild dates and residencies. It's dope. Anyways, though, what else to talk about here? So Kissa, have you are you like much of a concert goer? Have you gone to very many concerts in the past? Do you have any like
I've,
fun
I've
concert
not
memories?
I've not gone to very many concerts. However, yeah, I definitely have good memories. I've been to a couple of St. Lucia concerts. Have you heard of that band?
I don't know if I have. Let me write them down.
Okay, their music very much 80s throwback.
Oh yeah, I dig that. What was it? There's this one band that was kind of like that I liked a few years back. Um, it's gonna kill me. Oh. Bathing. Pure bathing culture. Yes, it was pure bathing culture. That's. Have you ever heard of them? They have this really good album that came out like a few years back. What was it called? Night Pass. Fantastic album.
Yeah, I haven't heard of them. I'm putting them on my list over here to look for later.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, anyway, yes, good experiences. St. Lucia, they have great live concerts.
Oh,
They sound
nice.
great live. Because I know sometimes that can happen where the recorded albums sound great and then you see somebody live and go, huh?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
But they're not
There's
St. Lucia. There's good live, if not better live, than with their recorded albums.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I
And
always
lots of
appreciate.
yeah,
I
lots of
always
good energy there.
I always appreciate the bands that are able to, not maybe not one to one replicate everything that they do in the studio, but they're certainly able to put together enough of a faithful recreation that, it livens up the energy in the room. Like, what was it? When I was at the wedding that I went to over the weekend, the wedding band there, they played all of this, like, old music, like a lot of pop punk, which was fun, but also like all this pop music too, and they did it in their own way that, it wasn't the original like electronics or, over, compressed, pop production as, it usually was, but instead it was still very lively and energetic, like full bands, like sort of jazzy in its own way. A lot of fun music to dance to. I always love when bands go that hard in live. Rob's zombie
Mhm.
effect with the studio albums sound great, but then live he always sounds constantly out of. Oh yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I
there's
wouldn't know about that because I've not really heard his music, so I wouldn't know. But
I mean, there's just like a lot of people out there in general, like in the legacy rock sort of touring circuit that aren't quite as nimble as they once were. I mean,
well,
one one
yeah,
one example I constantly go back to thinking of is fucking Vince Neil of Motley Crue. I mean, not to fat shame or anything like that, but he's definitely out of shape and not able to like easily move around the stage and sing and as he used to, and consequently he sounds like shit on like every tour that Motley Crue goes out on now. I mean, he was always like that. I mean, to be fair, I don't know. Like, I think Motley Crue back in like 81 to 83, maybe pushing to 84, Vince had an energy and youth to him, but but past that, I don't know. I'm not defending Motley Crue going forward in like the glam series. I'm probably, I don't know. uh, I love a good live concert environment. I mean, especially with King Gizzard. There was that. I've seen mostly my experience in like seeing concerts is just like more centered, I guess, around progressive rock and metal, and then also local music. I'm the sort of person who plays in like two sorts of bands in the city, and I go to a lot of like local music shows. And that's a fun experience, a lot more intimate. Sometimes, a lot more chaotic mosh pits too, but
Well, yeah, and with the second St. Lucia concert I went to was memorable for me, especially because my friend and I were able to go to the VIP meet and greet with the band, so that was cool.
oh,
That was, yeah.
nice. I've never had an experience like that, like going to meet a band backstage or what have you, but it's fun whenever like a band is small enough where you can like meet them after the show, like it's just sort of like off the street, and when they're going to their tour van, it'll happily come over to chat to fans, maybe sign a few things. I've had a few experiences like that back in the day. Um, as a Finn, I appreciated you noticing Hanoi Rocks in your latest deep dive. Thank you, Black Belgian Dog. I'm honestly surprised how few like Western sources have done the Hanoi Rocks story justice. Like a lot of the resources that I found for Hanoi Rocks, it was on this one like fan-run site that's been around apparently since like 1995. I'm just sort of going at their word that a lot of the information that they compiled was like accurate and up to date, because it doesn't feel like a lot of it's been verified in very many other corners of the internet, which is surprising when you think of how pivotal they were to like glam rock image. Do you know much about Hanoi Rocks, Kissa?
I don't.
They were this like Finnish glam punk, glam rock, like sort of verging on glam metal act, like in the early 80s, kind of through the mid 80s. That was an influence on a lot of other like bands of the decade, like Guns N' Roses, I think Faster Pussycat. Definitely a lot of the later glam bands of the 80s, like that sleazier scene, but they only really seem to get brought up in conversation when it comes to talking about Motley Crue, because like back in 1984, Vince Neil was drunk and got into a DUI with Hanoi Rocks' drummer Razzle in the car, and unfortunately killed him in the accident. And it sucks that Hanoi Rocks is primarily remembered, especially like in the glam rock world, for that, because they definitely have a lot of, I guess, there's a lot of merit in their music and the influence that had in the scene as well. And I don't know, I felt that story really did need to be told the way it did. Can't wait for you to bring up Sleazebees. Oh my god, there's so many like late 80s, early 90s glam bands that I'm gonna have to get to that I don't know how I'm gonna pace it going forward, but there's definitely that's definitely a challenge that I think I should leave for another day, not in the stream. Sec. Okay. Let me see. Enough is enough. Oh, enough's enough are cool. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah. So, what are your goals as a musician in the VTuber space? Do you have like any dream, goals you want to do as far as like songs or performances? Any dream collabs?
Well, as far as I know, I'm really hoping to come up with more different types of streams that are music related, whether it's me like performing something on a musical instrument or singing, or possibly even just talking about different bands or musical instruments, things like that.
Yeah, I've seen you.
Definitely.
Yeah, I saw a few streams on your channel about like talking with other VTubers about like music and like ranking albums and stuff. Are you interested in like music commentary as well?
Well, yeah, I am. I'm interested in that too, definitely. I'm just trying to come up with more music-related things I can do as a VTuber.
That's
Of
cool.
course, I'm gonna keep. Yeah, of course, I'm going to continue making song covers.
Nice, nice. Yeah, I
You
do
know,
some.
of course, I'd be up for doing original songs in the future too. I mean, I know I've already technically written songs,
Mm-hmm.
especially because I, had songwriting classes, college stuff, and I was a singer-songwriter ensemble too.
Oh, nice. There's a singer-songwriter ensemble. What is that? How does that work?
Um, well, how that worked was, okay, a group of students in the ensemble, they came up with their own songs or maybe lyrics or something, and then got help from the other members of the group with, coming up how they wanted their song to sound, and what sorts of things each person in the group was going to play for that, because there'd be a mix of people, like someone playing guitar, someone playing piano,
Wow.
other sorts of instruments involved.
That's a really unique concept for an ensemble, but that definitely tracks with the sorts of things that I used to see in college. I remember there's this one jazz sort of a cappella ensemble that somebody put together when I was in my college that I forget if they even lasted much past when I was there, but it was interesting. They had like a good friend of mine who was like this really good like jazz pianist, and I think maybe a few other accompanists going up with like these acapellists, performing their own sort of vocal arrangements and harmonies to traditional like jazz standards. It was really interesting music, but I don't know. I don't necessarily have I have a mixed opinion of like the a cappella groups at my college.
Well, yeah, it wasn't really ever a part of like a cappella groups at my college. I was a
Yeah.
part of other ones, like there's like a vocal jazz one that I was in a couple of
Oh,
times,
nice.
and yeah, that was good. That was fun. I was in
Yeah.
guitar ensemble. That was fun too.
Ooh, that sounds, yeah, yeah. I did this one ensemble called well, it was like this Renaissance choir slash orchestra, essentially. Like there were people playing on period instruments like viola da gamba, if you've ever heard of it.
Yeah, I
There's
have.
some. Oh, nice. There were some people on like old like bass recorders and stuff. I played like drums even like a dabaka sort of drum a few times. But mostly I did like I was a tenor like singing like old Renaissance sort of would madrigal be the right term? I guess madrigal is a word for it, but just like also all these old sorts of English folk songs. It was really cool music. You really come to value when you're in college the opportunity to dip your toes into all these sorts of musics that you don't otherwise get to come across, after you graduate.
Yeah, that is a nice thing about, and I know what you're talking about because, well, for a term, I was in like the chamber singers at my college
Oh, nice.
too. Yeah, and that was a nice, interesting, different sort of experience, being more used to like jazz or pop or
Hmm.
rock.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, and also a neat thing like at my college at the time I was there was I was able to be in a Brazilian music ensemble.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, that was nice.
I
And yes, I indeed ended up singing in Portuguese, but that was
mm,
okay, and I did all right pronouncing the words and everything because the person who ran the ensemble, he was married to a lady from Brazil who was very
Mm,
good, and patient with us, helping us learn
yeah,
how to pronounce the words. So, yeah.
that's nice. What is that? What inspired your last name, Canevello, or is that?
Well, actually, as maybe the member of chat Black Belgian Dog might know, is like they said they're a Finn.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it's at my VTuber name is actually a Finnish name,
Oh, I
and that
see.
wasn't like purposeful or anything. It's just I was trying to find a name I like the sound of that had to do with like a cat and a wizard because Kisa means cat in
Yeah, yeah.
Finnish. Well, in Velo, that part of my VTuber last name means wizard. The Connie
Mm.
part, that means rabbit, but that's only because, I'm essentially my Final Fantasy 14 character as a VTuber. I seriously
Oh,
just used that when I became a VTuber.
that's funny.
Yeah, so, and the rabbit part is just because, there's this like free company thing in the game that I'm a part of that's called
Yeah.
Vinoy because it was founded by people who play like rabbit characters. So so
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
honoring that, but also liking it that means my first and last name start with the same letter. It's alliterative, and I
That's
like that
fun.
too.
That's fun.
So yeah, I like the sound of this. And
I've,
that was when I was assigned to make my character name for the game, which was at least a couple years, or a year, I think, before I became a
mm,
VTuber. Just went, hey, why not just be this?
yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, it's easy to pick up a program these days, Vroid Studio or anything else like on the market and just sort of learn how to make your own model or even just like adopt a PNG. If you want to be if you want to be a VTuber or your own virtual streamer, go for it.
Yeah, and yes, I have a Vroid model, and yeah, I made it myself, like for free, just because, well, especially starting out, well, and still, honestly, not a whole lot of money to spend on things like that, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
okay.
There's no
I've been
shame.
no, not at all, and I've been having fun lately trying to see what I can do in Vroid to like make different outfits or even totally change how my model looks depending on what games I'm playing. That's
Oh
been fun.
yeah, I did notice. Yeah, you had like a different getup for like one of your recent streams, didn't you?
Yeah, I played Cereza and the Lost Demon, and for
Oh
that, I
yeah.
love the art style of that game. It's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried my best to make a model that looked kind of like the main character for that. So that's why that one's different. And
Very
I've done other
nice.
things like I played Ghostbusters the video game because I love, that movie franchise,
Mm-hmm.
and I made myself a little Ghostbusters uniform for my model.
That's fun.
Things like that.
See, I haven't dabbled too much into, I guess, additional costumes for my character. Every now and then I have, but I'm more the sort of person who likes to like pin different assets onto onto my model. Like there was this one bit where in my recent video where I posed myself in front of a Tim Hortons and like pinned a Canadian flag headdress to myself to pretend I was a Canadian. It was fun. Dig that T-Rex jam. Cat Black the Wizard's hat. I don't think I've ever heard of that. I mean, I do know T-Rex, but I'm not familiar
Yeah,
with
I've
that
heard of
song.
T-Rex too, but no, I'm not familiar with the song either.
T-Rex, great fucking band. I was listening to a bunch of glam rock recently to prepare for my most recent video on like the history, the origins and like rise of glam metal, and a lot of that shit still holds up. The UK glam scene, some quality fucking music. Uh, uh, yeah, I mean, did you have any like dream collabs that you wanted to do with like any VTubers in the future, or are you
I don't
working?
know. Like as far as collabs go, I mean, I'm definitely hoping to at some point collab with other, music VTubers, whether
Mm-hmm.
it's just talking about music with them or, actually, making song covers or even original songs with other
Absolutely, yeah.
VTubers. I would love to do that someday for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I saw you did like a solo cover of a Billy Joel song, is that like about a year ago,
Yeah.
is that right?
Uh-huh.
That's neat. I like I've tried to do my own covers myself, like drum covers, even vocal covers from time to time, but I've never particularly been good on the production angle of things. So I don't know.
Well, yeah.
It's hard to really
Hmm.
it's hard to really motivate
Yeah.
myself to do that every now and then.
Well, yeah, it can be hard with that because, well, I honestly don't know much in the way of audio production. Even though I've
Yeah.
been trying, I guess, kind of to figure things out at least enough to do song covers. And even though I own a lot of musical instruments, I only know how to play a few of them. And I mean, I feel my best about, playing the piano. And I did
Mhm.
for that Billy Joel and So It Goes cover, play the piano for that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
for the most part, I've not played the instrument myself for the accompaniment, either separately or together with the singing. I've been trying to get to a point where I can with like the guitar or
Yeah.
ukulele,
Oh, yeah.
actually too.
You play the ukulele?
Yeah.
That's fun. I mean, it's always sort of been a meme instrument to me to, seeing especially like my college had a fucking ukulele ensemble, I remember. Like a lot of the girls on campus joined it and, of course sang all the standard hits, but I don't know, ukulele to me, it's another one of those instruments like the automaton that I've always wanted to see sort of like a virtuoso, like ukulele player emerge, like kind of like an Eddie Van Halen, but
Yeah.
perhaps,
I feel like that would just be really cool too. And I mean, I know people can be serious about it, definitely. But yeah,
yeah,
I
yeah,
understand that's another one that's kind of in the area usually, at least seen as
yeah,
such.
yeah. It's a cool instrument though. I mean, traditional Hawaiian strings, what have you. What was I gonna say? Yeah, like production wise, that's all I relate to you there. That's always been something that I've struggled with. I mean, like um I use like Reaper, and there's all these plugins and stuff that I've learned how to sort of work with, but I've never really prided myself on production. Like there are a few friends I have that I've sometimes worked with. There was a cover I did for one of my videos that I got produced by a good friend of mine, Norboshi Ariel, but otherwise, I don't know. I think it's for the important shit. I'll outsource it, but for covers and anything more low key, it's more so just me interacting with my audience, and so I'm not really afraid of self production in that regard.
Well, yeah, and I very much, try my best while not knowing really that much about audio production, to be
Yeah,
honest. Just try to put it out there anyway, and like, go,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
probably not maybe the best it could be because I
exactly.
really don't know what I'm doing, but I've got to try, and here
Now,
it is.
yeah, yeah. So, like, when you record piano, is it like an actual piano, or do you just use like a digital thing?
Well, yeah, I actually own a digital piano. A
Oh,
digital,
okay.
yeah. So I plug it in to my audio interface
Hell yeah.
for recording the piano part if I try to do piano for anything.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's always gotta love a good like keyboard interface. I have what is it? This one mini controller, the Panda Mini. God, it's dusty as fuck because I hardly use it, but it's sitting on my desk, and if I ever do need to like plunk out like some sort of a pattern on Reaper or whatever, it's there for that. I think when I did a cover of well, the cover that was produced by my friend, I plunked out the bass line in that, and it was no, See, I've always wanted to learn more piano because, piano is technically a percussion instrument, right? And I consider
Mm-hmm.
myself a percussionist. I play drums, I play a bunch of other, wacky doodad percussion instruments if the time calls for it. I even took a few semesters of one semester of timpani and like xylophone, and like another semester of snare technique. So I'm versed in sort of classical training, but I've never gotten a handle on piano. It's it's just too many limbs to sort of coordinate for me.
Well, I know because you have to have, each hand do something different at the
Oh
same
yeah.
time, usually.
Not just that, I mean the fingers too. Just getting the
Yeah.
dexterity to, you know, twinkle all around the keys must be fucking years in the making, and I don't know if I can just you know at this point in my life put down everything and commit to something like that.
Well, yeah, and one of my few issues while playing the piano, even though I can get around it okay, is that, well, I have tiny hands, so anything that has big chords with wide note spreads, I always have to drop notes, but
Oh
that's
yeah.
okay.
No, I know there are definitely composers from the past, especially
Mm-hmm.
Rachmaninoff and other
Oh,
people
yeah.
who had big hands and
Mm-hmm.
just could just stretch and hit those notes that aren't exactly easy for anybody else. Uh, whatever the
And I
most
guess for the same reason, yeah, I have trouble, doing certain chords like on stringed instruments. Part of why I play ukulele is because, okay, they're smaller than guitars, and well, of course, the necks are too, and everything. So,
yeah, yeah.
easier for me to play chords, even though bar chords have always been hard for me, no matter what instrument.
Yeah, absolutely. I I've tried learning guitar 3 different times in my life, and each time I've always sort of been intimidated by just the sheer amount of finger placements you have to become familiar with. Not just chords. I can get around a chord progression fine enough if you show me where to put my fingers, but when it comes to scales and the amount of practice it comes to that, I don't know. That was kind of my wall for the longest time.
Well, yeah, I'd hoped when, learning to play guitar, that I could do well enough, playing chords to accompany myself with the guitar, and I was having a harder time with that.
Yeah.
Well, with guitar than, well, with piano, at least for me. I mean, there's always that added thing with instruments like the guitar, though, too, where you have to build up calluses, and it
Yeah.
kind of hurts or takes a while, until
Mhm.
that happens.
Absolutely. Yeah. I sympathize. Wondering what the most covered song by a glam metal band is. Born to be Wild, Get It On. I'm not sure. I feel like it would have to be some sort of British invasion thing at the least, but I'm not sure as far as released studio covers of glam songs if there's any immediate contenders. Could be wrong though. I don't know. Going back to the guitar talk though, I just I have a guitar. My mom bought me a guitar for Christmas a few years ago. There's just I need to eventually get to a point in my life where I can sit down and commit myself to learning a whole ass new instrument is the thing, right? I want to eventually get to a point in my career either on YouTube or off YouTube where I can, do something like that. It's the American dream right there.
Yeah, there's so many instruments I own because I, collect musical instruments,
Yeah, yeah.
that I really someday want to actually know how to play, even though
Mm-hmm.
most of them I don't yet. So most of them are just sitting here and, I'm just kind of sitting and staring at them, but I'm going, I need to learn how to play these someday. I really want to.
What are some top contenders in your collection?
Well, outside of trying to get better with the automaton, for example. Well, I also own things like an ocarina,
Oh, nice.
and I have a dulcimer.
Oh, cool, cool.
I have a bowed psaltery.
Hmm.
That's an instrument I got from a Ren fair.
Interesting. I don't know if I've heard of that one.
Okay, it's kind of almost triangular shaped, made out of wood, has like 9 strings on the one I've got. There's a sound
Oh,
hole in the
okay.
middle that on mine kind of looks like a dragon, so I think that's kind of cool.
Oh.
And it can be played kind of like with a pick or with a bow, like
Oh,
for a
so
violin.
it's like a stringed instrument. That's
yeah,
cool.
stringed instrument.
Yeah, if I were to take up an instrument these days, I don't know, piano or guitar probably would be my immediate ones. But I feel like, when you reach that sort of base level of competence, of course, then the options continuously expand. Like, do you pick up the exotic instruments now too? Like, I remember I had a professor who was like super into, I guess, Renaissance lute. I mean, he was the one who led the whole Renaissance ensemble that I was a part of. He did like viola da gamba and all that sort of stuff. Just it's fun to I guess take that plunge when you've when you become more of a hobbyist with your instruments.
Well, yeah, and I've enjoyed like collecting, more unusual sorts of instruments anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I think, oh, these are cool, because they're not the standard, I guess, guitar or piano, but nothing wrong with those.
Yeah, yeah. Have you ever learned?
Sorry, speaking of the Renaissance type instruments, I had friends in college, like one of them, he played the lute.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I thought that was nice. I figure it was like hell to tune though.
Oh no,
with
no,
all
I'm
those
sure
strings.
that shit's always detuning. I mean, that like they even nowadays, like we like stringed instruments, they're, I mean, I don't know. It's less common now, but we have not yet found the fix to strings getting detuned.
No, not yet. It would be awesome if someone could, figure out a solution that made it so, it's always in tune.
Yeah.
Haven't gotten there yet, though.
Take care, Jukebox Cowboy. Have a good one. I was gonna say, yeah, I don't know. Have you ever had an interest in like learning any like brass or woodwind stuff?
Well, kind of actually. There are certain instruments of that sort that I think sound cool for sure. I mean, I think saxophone sounds cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I've never tried to play them. Well, I had a friend in college who played trumpet, and she did actually, because she had to for, I think, a trumpet pedagogy thing she was doing. She had to like try to teach people how to play trumpet as a part of that, and she asked me to do that, and I did. And
nice.
Well, yeah, it's a different thing. As far as like any of that sort of thing goes, I've not really done much playing, wind instruments, like no brass instruments really either. I've done singing, but that's it. And, totally different thing trying to play trumpet.
Oh, absolutely. No, I mean, aside from like the stock, third grade recorder lessons that you usually have, but I haven't touched a woodwind or a brass, or I feel like that's a whole different technique skill set that I just do not have the knowledge to really process.
Well, yeah, I have an ocarina. I already mentioned I have a harmonica.
Yeah.
I do actually have a recorder, even though I've not played it very much.
Yeah, yeah. Also, hello, Gen X Chicano. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, I wish I still had my old recorder. Shit, that'd be at least fun to bust out and try to learn stuff on. I remember though, like when you say ocarina, I was at a convention recently, a few weeks, actually end of August. It was Anime New York City. I was going around the dealer hall and I saw so many vendors there selling ocarinas. I kind of wanted to get one, but I don't know. I feel like they were. I feel like I had more bang for my buck getting a poster in the moment, but damn it, I don't know. I kind of have regrets now.
Yeah, and I have actually tried a little bit to play the ocarina, and again, totally different thing than
Hmm.
anything like singing, for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel
I,
like you would definitely have to, I don't know, almost breathe differently too, as a
hmm.
part of that. Get more used to how best to make notes with it, at least with even the air part, which is kind of hard for me, or it can be, even though
Yeah.
I sing anyway because I have mild asthma.
Oh yeah. Now that'll probably give you troubles there. I don't know. I've always had, that childish desire within me to want to play like the actual songs from Ocarina of Time on an actual ocarina. So, be fun to eventually do that someday. For now, I'll settle with trying to play along with King Gizzard's songs on harmonica. Uh, let's see. Um, oh yeah. So, speaking of singing, how is your singing voice? You would say, like, are you like an alto, soprano? How trained are you?
um, I was a vocal performance major in college. That's really when I started
Oh,
singing.
nice.
And yeah, whenever I was in any kind of vocal ensemble, I was in the alto section.
Okay, very nice. The altos are unsung heroes. I remember being friends with quite a few in college, and they'd always lock down those top harmonies. uh, uh, you do I've noticed you do a lot of karaoke streams. How do those usually run? Are those like audience requests, or do you usually have like a pre-run sort of set list that you've put together?
Well, yeah, I've done one of those. Well, there are a couple of those sorts of things I've done a little bit of. Well, one technically wasn't, I guess, karaoke because I had this thing where I was part of a creative carousel that a VTuber named Oceanax was running.
Oh, nice.
And during that time, as part of it, I did perform a few songs, but I was
Mm,
accompanying myself on my ukulele. I was just trying to put myself out there and try to do that since I've been trying to accompany myself more for
oh,
that. So
cute.
I did a few songs doing that with my ukulele, and almost more
Nice.
recently, but it was a little while ago. I did do kind of sort of a karaoke thing, but a
Mm-hmm.
cappella, and I
Oh,
had my
yeah.
own ideas for songs that I wanted to do, but then there were people there who said, "Oh, what about this one?" And I was fine just going, "Oh yeah, sure, I know that one."
Yeah, yeah. It's. I feel like that would be an intimidating, at least for me, to take song requests, from the crowd. I mean, I think I'd like to think I know quite a bit of music at least, but getting to perform it all in front of a crowd at once is another story.
Well, yeah, and with ones I wasn't necessarily prepared to do, sometimes I did it anyway, at least with the stream I did more recently, because I thought, okay, I know that one enough, even though I wasn't going, oh yeah, I'm gonna do that today ahead of time. I can do it, and I just went ahead and tried.
Hmm. No, I definitely want to do like a karaoke stream at some point. I feel like it would be a lot of fun. I'm just I'm just worried about how to navigate around like copyright. I've thought about it in the
Yeah, that
past.
scares me too. That scares me
Yeah.
too,
I mean,
which
I've
is why
thought
I did acapella.
right. I mean, I've thought about it in the past. Like, I'll do like a live stream on the channel that's, and not keep the VOD up, but instead take that VOD and put it up maybe on like my Patreon as bonus content. But even then, like, I don't know. I feel like I want to give more of my audience that karaoke experience. It's a very tricky world. It sucks that
Hmm.
YouTube copyright is so you know, I mean, not that many videos on my channels are monetized as it is, but I don't want to run the risk of like some, person actually like putting a strike on my channel for just innocently singing like a song, on a karaoke stream.
Yeah, I get you there. I don't want that to happen to me either, to be honest. Even though, like,
Mm,
I'm not anywhere close to, like, partner monetization or anything on YouTube. Yeah, I'd still
yeah,
rather not push it.
yeah. I mean, monetization is a very fucking fine line to walk anyways. I mean, I find that like especially for my line of work where I do a bunch of deep dives into music history, like, and I'm using all this music as the background like a bunch of other documentaries tend to do. The fact that I don't have clearances for that and I'm making this shit on my own time means that it automatically gets struck down by AdSense bots. So it's a tricky fucking environment to navigate for sure. Do you find much is different about that on Twitch, or is that I guess that's why you
Yeah,
do the
I don't
acapella?
know. I mean, I don't know how that goes for sure on Twitch. I know there have been people who've done karaoke anyway, but I don't know how
Yeah,
that's gone for them.
right. I
Because
mean,
it seems like some people get strikes, some people don't. So I don't know.
I definitely feel like you can get like a copyright safe instrumental maybe. I think my a friend of mine, Noribo Shiariel's done that a few times on her channel, or at least she's made her own songs and has been able to sing those at least. So could be either or, but it's I don't know, man. I'm getting tired of all these different restrictions that YouTube keeps putting on its creators as it gets more desperate as a platform to sort of consolidate itself.
Yeah, and a frustrating thing for me too is when, game creators are totally fine with people streaming their games,
Hmm.
music and all, and
Yeah.
YouTube copyright snags them anyway.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, like my friend Nori, she played like what was it? One of those old racing games. I think maybe like Daytona or something like that. And like all the music got like claimed by this independent third party. That sucks when that happens.
Well, yeah, I remember I streamed Stardew Valley once,
Yeah.
leaving the music playing. And
Hmm.
okay, even though supposedly the creator of that game, who did the music himself and is totally fine with people streaming it and having the music on, um, he tried his best, but YouTube, even for him, wouldn't, back down on all of these claims of the music in Stardew Valley,
Yeah.
VODs for
Hmm.
people.
God. Sucks when copyright strikers are so vindictive like that. Wasn't there like an Undertale controversy that happened around that some time ago? I forget.
I think maybe there was something to do with Undertale.
Like Project Undertale Zero or something like the prequel fan made thing. Could be wrong. I forget. I'm not that big into the Undertale fandom or anything like that.
I'm not either, even though I have played the game.
Oh yeah. No, I remember playing it back in like 2015, 2016. That was definitely that was a fun experience.
Hmm.
Banger soundtrack. Toby Fox knows his way around a MIDI. Uh see. Oh, uh, so I've noticed you've played, on your channel a few times. You've got VODs for like Trombone Champ, and that,
Mm-hmm.
that got me thinking. Do you have not thinking of Trombone Champ in particular, but do you have any like formative rhythm games, in your youth, on your musical journey, or anything like that?
Um, I have played quite a bit of, okay, I don't own any of the games anymore. I have played quite a bit of, Guitar Hero, Band Hero, that sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah. Now that was me too. Like I have pretty much the entire Rock Band and Guitar Hero franchise to blame for like the way I am now, loving rock music and all that stuff. Especially
Well,
like
yeah, definitely found music through those games, yeah.
and especially like that was actually my introduction to sort of being a drummer, because like I kind of upgraded from the Rock Band kit to like a kit that my mom's sister's boyfriend, I think, got for me. That was a long time ago. It's almost almost 14 years at this point since I like picked up the drums for the first time. Crazy how time flies like that. Uh, um. Oh. Uh. Well, I think I seem to have reached the bottom of my questions here. I don't know. Do you have anything that you'd like to talk about?
Oh, something that I'm looking forward to is that this week on Halloween. Okay, have you heard of Epic the Musical?
I don't think I have.
Okay, it's this musical made by Jorge Rivera Heron, and varying musical styles. And it's about Odysseus from Greek mythology.
Oh, that's neat.
Yeah, I kind of got into that like by way of reading the Percy Jackson books.
So is it like a Percy
And
Jackson thing, or is it like a...
Well, not Percy Jackson thing. It's like that was based on, Greek mythology type stuff. And that kind
I
of got me
see.
into Greek mythology related things. And recently, my husband got me into Epic the Musical, by way of one of my brothers-in-law who was really getting into it.
Nice.
Yeah, I highly recommend it.
I need to. It's odd, like I used to actually be kind of a theater kid myself, at least back in high school. I was in a high school that didn't really have very many males interested in going out for like lead roles or whatever. So I'd usually be the one that got cast because I had a decent acting personality. I had like a decent voice, and they were like, hey, yeah, we'll cast you as a lead. But I had a lot of fun with it, and I remember loving a bunch of musicals back in the day. Haven't really had a lot of time to take a listen, or at least, I don't know, I haven't really had much of an interest in musicals recently, which is odd because I live in practically the musical capital of the United States in New York City, but I digress.
Well, yeah. Well, anyway, highly recommend it.
That sounds
Definitely, and I'm looking forward to like the new set of songs for it that's coming out on Halloween.
interesting. Like they're releasing it batch by batch.
Well, yeah, it's getting released a few songs at a time.
That's interesting. It's fascinating to see how like people are evolving on the Broadway model in the internet age. I mean, especially with like, I don't know, I don't tend to use TikTok at all, but like I know there's a trend of people like writing entire ass musicals on TikTok every now and then. It's always fun to see when that pops up.
really is. And and this one's like really good. Lots of, good voices with the singers used in it. Well, including the creator himself.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Who
that's
also
neat.
involved people who also, involved people like his parents and, other people he knows
Mm-hmm.
in it too. And, everybody seems to have a really awesome voice and, different sorts of voices too, and, different sorts of styles of music and different motifs for different gods and things. And
There
it's
you
all
go.
very cool and interesting. And the songs like sung by the gods tend to be more, I don't know, rock or electronically based too, I've
Mm,
noticed. With the
interesting.
exception of maybe Athena, whose thing is more like piano.
Is it a little like Hades Town or I don't know, because I remember I had a friend who introduced me to like Hades Town a few years ago, and that was a pretty neat musical. Getting to listen to like that sort of cabaret retelling of, you know, Odysseus and Eurydice.
Okay, so kind of like that subject matter that,
Yeah, yeah.
well, not really, I guess in this case, cabaret kind of trends more toward, and I feel like there's more rock going on in a lot of places,
I
and
mean, I guess with the name, right? Like Epic, they want to make it
mm-hmm.
more grand like that, for sure. Uh, that sounds cool, though. I definitely need to keep my eyes out for more musicals, especially locally. Like, I need to take advantage if I can. If any, like, if any of my old alma maters offer alumni theater districts, theater discounts in the city, I need to find out about that. uh,
well, yeah, and
so,
that one in particular, I don't think it's ever like been performed, you know,
oh yeah, no,
in person. It's
I'm not
just one of
saying
those
strictly.
things that's online. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not saying strict for that, but yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy that, like I was saying, there's with the internet, there's more of an impetus to make musicals, I guess, public, more accessible. How to say, like more
Mm-hmm.
readily available for people to access. It's always bugged me that there's not like a readily available like streaming service for like old Broadway, like I guess recordings, for instance. I don't know. It's
Yeah, and
it's
they've definitely seen like a few like different actual musicals, whether it's like I'm watching a movie or actually seeing them like in person too, and
yeah,
I
yeah.
have enjoyed those that I've seen too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, even though just really out there and everything,
Sure.
I actually really enjoyed Avenue Q.
Oh, nice. That's the one with the puppets, right? Yeah, I think my college actually did like a summer production of that. I didn't go to see it, but I definitely know a few of the songs from that.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and I also have enjoyed seeing ones like Pirates of Penzance.
Nice, nice.
Eh, Yeah, and I've seen a musical version of Footloose.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that. Like it's interesting how many movies and like jukebox musicals are coming out these days, like just sort of taking these popular songs and adapting them whole cloth into a new thing. Like I don't know exactly how I feel about it, but apparently some of them do it right. So I don't know. Like I feel like it's a safe bet for audiences, Broadway always wants to try and recoup its dollar, which thank God for the indie producers online. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, because I figure that could be really hit or miss. Sometimes people will probably love it if someone tries to go a different direction with something than
Mm,
they're used to, and sometimes they won't.
yeah. Now, for sure. I mean, even like off Broadway, I feel like there's still some sort of norm dictating like who gets what and whatnot. But who am I to say? I don't work in the theater industry necessarily. I only know like. See, what's funny is I went to a college that has a really robust theater program, and I knew a lot of like theater majors myself. A lot of them were my friends, but I was only the music and history guy, so I wasn't that deeply involved in the entire scene there. Just tertiarily. It's fun though. I miss the opportunities I had to see good theater there. They put on a production of Chicago that was fantastic. What a show, Chicago. Anyways, yeah, I don't know if that's all you were wondering about. I think I'm good to wrap things up here if you are.
I am too.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on stream today, Kissa. Where can people find you predominantly?
Well, I stream on Twitch.
Okay, let me pull that up. But you also have, your own YouTube thing.
Yes, I do.
A second. Dropped your link in the chat. If you're interested in seeing more Kissa, go follow her. She's definitely cool people. I had a fun conversation today. And once again, thank you, Kissa, and thank you all in chat for coming in and saying hi and chatting it up with me. As always, I have been Rezi Orenji, and I cannot wait to bring more fun music content to you soon in the future. New video this week, hopefully, as I've said. And, yeah. I'm going to go gorge on cookies that I stole from the wedding that I went to over the weekend. Take care, y'all, and I will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.